Okay, we're going.
Laura Demers, whom I have not seen since you left here in, what year was that, ninth grade?
I think that was 1982. 1982.
So it's been 18, and that's 38 years ago.
38 years. I did run into you on the street once at the end of Seaview about 30 years ago, but we only spoke for about 10 minutes. We were both on our way somewhere, and I saw you, and we had
Let me ask you
10
this.
minute.
Have you been in town lately? When's the last time you were in Palm Beach?
Yes, that was in 2005 was the last time, summer of 2005.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So
Well,
I'm
you
due for a
promised me,
visit.
the next time you're here, okay, you have to call me ahead of time so we can go to lunch or go to dinner or something, okay? Promise?
Okay, I'd love that. That sounds great.
Okay, now, Laura, you were always one of my favorite people.
Oh my gosh,
You know your dad. How's your dad, by the way?
he's great. He has a girlfriend. He's
What,
playing a lot of tennis. Just the same. He's just hanging in there.
He's one of my favorite people. You know that. We used to, oh, well,
He's a funny guy.
you know your dad anyway. Okay.
Yeah, he's a kook.
Okay, so this is what we're going to do now. At ninth grade, you have just graduated from Palm Beach Day Academy. Take us from there.
Well, actually, I didn't graduate. I left after 8th grade and then went to straight to Miss Porter School in Connecticut.
Okay, after 8th grade, take us in.
And then I spent 4 years there, and then went from there to University of Colorado, and then I was there for 5 years. It took me 5 years to graduate, and then I took a couple of years off, and then I went back to school in New York. I got thanks to you, English became my favorite subject, and I got a master's in English Lit. And then I thought I could teach with that, but in the state of New York, you can't. So I then I got a master's of education at NYU. That was the English Lit one was at Hunter College. And then I went to NYU. And then I did some teaching, and I'd like to say I used that. I was not a natural teacher. I was a terrible teacher. So it really taught me that it's a special gift. Not everyone can be a teacher. I was just the worst. I had no leadership skills, and just the classroom was unruly, and it was just a disaster zone. But there was a guy who taught the class after me, and he was kind of a miracle worker. And I just realized it's a talent, like being an actor or something, you know, just like everyone thinks they can teach something they can't. You've got to have like charisma, you've got to have stage presence, you've got to have, you've got to have some kind of leadership skills, none of which I had, but it did make me appreciate you all the more. It's a tough gig, if you ask me.
Let me ask you this, honey, and you got your degree in English Lit, right?
Yeah.
What were some of your favorite authors? I'm just curious because there was one there that to this day, is my favorite writer. And maybe psychologically, when I read him for the first time, and he's the guy who they call him a man of one book.
Oh gosh, who could that be?
The Way of All Flesh, Samuel Butler. The Way of All Flesh.
I've got to read that. I've never read that.
Oh, you have to, honey.
The Way of All Flesh.
And it had such an effect on me, and I don't know why. Maybe because I read it in college, and that was it. But it stayed with me. Samuel Butler, The Way of All Flesh. The Way of All Flesh. I got to text that to myself, so I will read that. Okay, so go on.
Well, I guess my when I was younger, or when I was young, my favorite author was Edith Wharton for a long time. And now, not that I outgrew her, but I moved on, and I love this guy now, Patrick Hamilton. He wrote all these kind of books in the about being broke in London in the 30s and 40s, and boarding houses, and I don't know why I love him so much. They're kind of dark, but I guess that would be my favorite as an adult. He's my favorite author, but it was Edith Wharton for a long time, and up until maybe 30 or something. But
how about Silas Marner? Did you read
I
Silence Runner?
I have not read that. Now I feel really embarrassed. I haven't read that either.
Okay, okay. I have some of the kids read it because they didn't realize once they read it, there's so much in it. There's so much. They said, "Oh,
Right.
Mr. Greco, this sounds like a soap opera. Everything going on, the big robbery, this, that, the child
Yeah.
left it, etc." And the writing is so good. Mary
Oh,
Ann Evans, in those days, women didn't publish.
right,
But
right.
what was her book name? I'm trying. George Eliot.
George L. Oh, I love Middlemarch. I read that like
Okay,
twice. I
okay.
love that.
But
And then
that's one of my favorite. And of course, I can't help it. I'm a Dickens person,
well,
you know.
you are started me on Dickens.
Yeah,
I remember it was it was
Great
David
Expectations.
Copperfield. I think you taught us Great Expectations too. I think David Copperfield and Great
Great
Expectations.
Expectations, yeah.
And
I was
I
a
mean,
Dickens person.
I had never read Dickens, before then, and that really just opened up a whole world to me.
So go
Um,
on. And so now where are we?
so now we're gosh, we're somewhere in the 2000s now, and but I just realized I wasn't very good at teaching. I wasn't, the world, they were ready to accept me as a teacher, but I still feel like I need to go and apologize to all my students for being a bad teacher. But I definitely learned more from them. They would introduce me to poetry and so forth if I asked them to do some kind of project. But I then went. I always say I got a degree in finger painting, but I got another degree in creative writing, which I really was interested in doing. And I did that I lived over in England for about 10 years, and I did that there. And then I started to write, and I haven't had much success. I've only had about 5 or 6 short stories published. But I enjoy it, and I've been working ever since. And I have an agent who is really trying hard for me, not getting that far, but and then I did some work. I helped a woman proofreading on her memoir, and I do work like that. But I other than that, I just feel so. When I saw your other Zoom things that these people are like curing cancer, your other students, but I'm still plugging away. So I guess that brings us up pretty much to date. I feel like I'm leaving something out. I guess the NASA Space Center, when I went to work there for about 5 years. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't work at the NASA. Just threw that in there. But I have to say, you, honest to God, are the best teacher I've ever had. And I've had a lot of teachers since then, because you made Shakespeare come alive. It's never, you taught us Julius Caesar.
Do you
And
remember having to memorize the 75 lines?
I don't remember that. Maybe I blocked it.
In
Maybe
Cyrano
that was so
de
painful, I
Bergerac.
blocked it.
You remember Cyrano de Bergerac?
I do know Cyrano de Bergerac. I mean,
75 lines.
I do remember when we had to do our public speaking.
Oh, that was a whole 9 weeks, right?
Oh my God, that was terrifying for me. It
Do you
was just,
remember your 10-minute final?
oh God, do I ever? And I remember the joy when it was over, just like it's over, But I would memorize. Actually, I knew nothing when I came to your class, nothing, because like I said, I was out in Colorado in this school that didn't teach us anything. And I didn't even know what an essay was. I didn't know grammar. I knew nothing. So it was like a crash course. So you were the perfect teacher for me, because you were just, I went from I don't want to, in case anybody from Colorado sees this, I went from very young teachers who didn't really know what they were doing in their early 20s to you. And it was just really important for my brain. And I remember I kept getting zeros in the pop quizzes, 0, 0, 0. And I was so embarrassed that one week, and I just memorized that grammar book. I'm like, I can't get any more zeros. It's too embarrassing. But everything, I don't think I ever learned more than I learned in your class. I learned, other things, but I never learned more than I learned those 2 years. So I just thought, God, everyone deserves a Ralph
But do you
Greco.
remember this, honey? When you get my age, 88, things that happened yesterday and a week ago, I might forget those.
Right, right.
But I remember things from years back, especially with students,
Indeed.
But I remember that I can remember with you, you had a lot of glitches as far as grammar and that. You had never had a lot of usage in that. But you
Right,
were a
right.
good writer. You were a good writer.
Oh,
There's a difference there. There's a difference there. You can be a good writer. In other words, your sentence structure and your content, things like that. Oh, you misspelled this or run on. Yeah, but
right.
you can correct those, and you corrected most of those before the year was over. But you were a good writer.
And you really encouraged me on that too. You would tell me I was a good writer, and it was like
Yeah.
a wondrous thing to me that you thought I could write. And yeah, I do remember you asking very nicely one day, I think it was after I asked you what an essay was, and you said, now what was the name of that school you went to in Colorado? It was a very nice way of saying, we need to have that place shut down.
You remember the magazine articles you had to read?
Yes, but we
Right.
had to go, it was Harper's and Atlantic, and
That's right.
there was
Yeah.
a third one, I can't remember, but we
Right.
would go and I remember one day with Sarah Kilborn, I convinced her that we could use something like, um, dogs versus cats. I can't remember the title, but I put VS because I thought that was correct, and I convinced her to write versus that way, and you circled it for both of us, and I felt like I'd let her down.
I
But
had, if you get a chance, I had a beautiful one with Sarah
oh,
Kilborn.
did you? Is it up
Yes.
online?
Oh, yes, honey, she's on. Is it up yet, Barb? Not yet, but it will be. All of these are going to be up, and people are going to be. Oh, by the way, do you stay in touch with your dad? Email?
Yes, I do.
Be sure to let him know we
I
did this,
will.
and that he'll be able to think in on it. Okay, honey?
All right, fantastic. Yes, I just talked to him around Christmas.
Yeah,
Yes.
Sarah Kilborn.
Sarah
And,
Kilborn.
And we did in David Eigen. Remember David
I
Eigen?
do remember David Eigen. I haven't
David
seen
and a
him
number
in
of
40 years.
yes.
I'm trying to think when the last time I saw Sarah was probably, gosh, I think I was about 30 the last time I saw her in New York.
In New York.
But we're on Facebook, so I see her on Facebook and so forth. But she was a good friend for me to have because she was so driven. So, trying to keep up with her in any capacity was, an education itself. She was like, she would always have the assignment done within the first day. If we had to read 60 pages of David Copperfield, it was done by 2 days later. She was just driven.
That was Sarah.
Yeah, and she and Karen List, I remember, they would kind of push each other to.
Who, honey?
Do you remember Karen List?
Oh, yes, Karen. Yes.
Yeah, she was
Karen.
also very driven, and the two of them kind of, I lagged behind, but the two of them were very, always on top of things. But what was it? I also remember a book you taught us that made a huge impression on me was An American Tragedy.
Oh.
With Theodore Dreiser. I remember I didn't have it done on time before I left it to the last minute. So I stayed up all night finishing it in a weird way that made it have a bigger impact on my brain because there was the panic of getting it done. And then he's also drowning the girls. So it worked good together. But I think I finished the exam or the test, and then I think I got the flu because I had skipped a night of sleeping or something. But that book still, I just reread it about 20 years ago. That book still made such a huge impression on me.
Did you ever see the movie?
I did.
Cliff, Elizabeth Taylor?
Yeah, I did. It didn't live up to the book for me. I think because it was an unrealistic ending, I think, or like they still were in love or something. I can't remember. I saw the really, really old movie from the 30s or the 20s, literally in the last 6 months. And that was much more true to the book.
Yeah.
Very bleak. But the Liz Taylor one, I think, was a little too romantic for me compared to the book.
Well, I think he went to prison, though.
Did he? I can't remember. But did he get out?
Prison, yeah.
In the one they did in the 30s, it ends with his execution. So
yeah,
they went for it. But I guess they were darker in the 30s and the 50s. But yeah, all the books you taught me just stayed with me. You know, I've like glossed other books that were taught to me in college and so forth, but you could even act out. I remember you doing like was it Caesar? No, it was Mark Antony's speech. You
Julius
know,
Caesar, friends
yes.
and countrymen.
And you were saying, but he's a good man or something, but you really made the whole thing come alive. And later on, I was told I really need to work on my Shakespeare because I wasn't getting this and I wasn't getting that, but I always got Julius Caesar. That one, I just need you to act out all the different Shakespeare plays for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just, I wish I'd had more, I wish I'd stayed for ninth grade, had one more year of you. Not that Miss Porter's was also a good school, but there
Now,
just never was an English teacher.
now in 8th grade, the big writing assignment we had was the Educational Autobiography. Do you remember that?
Oh my gosh, I don't remember that.
You had to write the whole 5,000 word minimum.
Right.
You had to take us from preschool all the way up to 8th grade.
Oh,
Remember that?
you mean, was it about ourselves?
About your education.
Gosh,
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Look
Probably
through
because of the
whole thing.
Colorado
You
school.
have it somewhere.
Yes, I just refreshed my memory.
Yeah.
But I do remember the things that sticks with me most was the public speaking and how every week it would get a little bit longer. But I was so scared of failing in front of the class that it just made me, memorize and memorize and memorize, so that when I got up there, it was just so easy to. You you had a special word for it. You said he's dying up there. You said don't die up there.
Honey, so many people come back, tell me that speech course was the most, because most of the kids who go to our school, the majority of them, they're going into professions and areas where they're going to do public speaking.
Right. Gosh.
How much have you done? Have you done?
I've done. I remember at NYU we had to do a fair amount of public speaking, just like, teaching classes, showing how we would teach a class. And so it's, it would be people my age. And yeah, it was something that I had already learned when my brain was young enough that it wasn't as terrifying as it was. I heard that public speaking is like the #1 fear above dying.
Above death. You came in second. That's right.
So you were, I'm glad you, broke through that for us, because otherwise it just has time to build in your brain. But,
so where are you right now? What are you doing professionally now?
Oh, right. Are you
writing a novel? Are you going to write the Great American Novel?
Yes, I've written a few of them, and we're going to get those published. I've got another short story coming out in the Appalachian Review in a few months, and I just got published on Granta Online. I don't know if Granta is known here, but in England, it's kind of a literary review they have over there. And I'm also helping proofread. I do a lot of proofreading. I'm helping another woman with some stories she's writing just to do the proofreading. But other than that, my brother and his kids are in town, so I'm spending a lot of time with them. They're avoiding COVID, so they come to the hot spot in Los Angeles where I am.
Oh, that's right. You're in LA. You are in the hot spot. Is everyone in your family okay?
Everyone in the family is okay. They were in Long Island, so they wanted to get away from it, but they flew right back into it here, so they didn't do their homework.
So who's in your family, hon?
I don't know if I remember my brother David Demers.
I remember David.
I'm not sure he would have been one of your students. I don't think. I'm not sure, because he would have left in 5th grade or 4th grade or something. But he definitely remembers you. So must have known you. If he wasn't in your class, he must have just known you, as a legend.
I don't know. Well, I remember you two with your dad too.
Yes, that's true. And he played a lot of tennis with my dad. So
right.
So I remember I ran into you at the end. Are you still teaching now?
Honey, this was supposed to be my 53rd year here.
Wow.
Are you into a novel? Are you writing a novel?
I just finished one. It's with this agent who won't give up on me. It's kind of like it's supposed to be a psychological thriller. We don't know how thrilling it is yet, but he's just read it, and he's ask somebody else to read it. So I never say die on it, you know, I just keep going. But in the meantime, the short stories are keeping me going for now. But
Did you ever think of writing one with your dad?
I think our styles are too different. You know, I'm being very tactful right now. I think like his are a lot racier. Let's put it that way.
I wrote one with my daughter. Did you know
Did
Lisa?
you? I
Yeah,
knew you're Lisa, right?
and it's on. I had a publish. It got published on a former student who owned a publishing company, but it sold a few copies. But it's for young girls. It's called No Tears to Wimbledon. It's
No tears.
You get if you ever.
Oh my gosh! Can I get it on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. Yes. No
Okay,
Tears to
fantastic.
Wimbledon.
All right, I'd love to read that. So I'll go on Amazon right after this.
But I'm thinking for you though, have you thought of coming back and writing something about here?
I do think Palm Beach is a great location for stories. What was the name of the book that you said was your favorite before I forget?
The Way of All Flesh.
The Way of All Flesh. I've got to remember that because I want to.
Samuel Butler, The Way of All Flesh.
The Way of All Flesh.
Supposedly, it destroyed the Church of England. After it was published, etc.
All right, I'm onto it. I'm trying to
Okay.
think of just every book you we had us read was just a winner. You know, it was the greatest syllabus ever, especially for that age. You know, where your brain is developing,
Now tell
absorbing
me
that.
more about your family. You have.
You mean my father?
Are you married?
Oh no, I'm not married. Not for lack of trying, though. I definitely tried.
I can't believe that if you haven't been, there's something wrong with the guys out there.
Oh, thank you. Well, I was with a guy for a very long time, but we decided not to get married in the end. But we were together a long, long time.
You remember what I used to tell all the girls in class?
What was that?
I still tell them that. Remember, girls, everyone except your father and Mr. Greco, all the other men are jerks.
That's actually no. that is true in some sense. No, we were together I think almost 10 years, and we're still friends. So yeah, but I did not have children. I do have 2 dogs. I only meant to have 1 dog, but I just inherited another one. But that's the extent of my nuclear family right now. I know you didn't just have Lisa, you had a son, didn't you? Or did I make that up?
Yes, Eddie. He was 2 years younger than Lisa.
Yes,
he married a psychiatrist.
Oh my gosh.
And he's living in Charlotte, North Carolina. In fact, he just retired because she's a psychiatrist for this huge medical conglomerate. So he was able to retire. And
I actually never met Lisa, but I heard a lot about her through my father.
Oh, he loved her. He loved Lisa, and she loved him. He was so. The last time, when were we? A couple of years we went out to dinner. But I haven't seen him but be sure you email him and let him know that you're
I will. I'll email him right after this and let him know.
Let him know.
Right.
So Laura, that's the way you are. You look great, honey.
Oh, thank you. You look amazing. I mean, I literally, when you said 88, I couldn't believe it.
And,
that's just incredible.
What I want you to do is the next time you get in town, before you come, give me a call.
I definitely will.
Save a dinner or a lunch for me. Absolutely.
I'll wait till everything opens up so that we can go out someplace.
That's right. That's